welcome to the Blood Brothers podcast. I'm joined this evening, as ever, by the inimitable Rob Parker and Chris McDonald.
Hello there.
And we are in our guest author seat. We must now call you author. Is the one and only Sharon Bairden, author of Sin for the Father. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here in the guest author seat.
Author.
Yeah. It's
Right,
so
paparazzi off.
And we've gone full circle because it was like maybe our first or second episode, wasn't it, when we were talking about Sean, you signing this book?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, I was. I very excitedly announced it and then had to tell Sharon before we put it out.
Yes, I remember we carried that secret for maybe it wasn't very long.
In my defense, I had COVID.
Yes,
so
yeah.
Anything could have happened. What's really exciting me is, as I look at your three beautiful faces, is that there are 4 Red Dog authors.
Yes.
On this screen.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
And that is very exciting.
That is very true.
It feels like even just for this hour, I'm taking over the world, and I've always wanted to do that, like a Bond villain.
We can have this as our Christmas party.
Yes, that's true.
Oh no, that's really sad. I didn't even bring a popper.
A what?
A party popper. Come on now.
Party popper. I thought you said a party pop-up.
I don't. I mean, either of this. All right. So already, I mean,
I can see this is where this is going today.
I can, right. Can I? You know, there's a segue to be had here, but I'm going to have to say, before I was doing this, as in not the podcast, as in writing books, I was a clean out guy with a van, and I was asked to clean out a pharmacy once, and they had loads of stuff in the attic, loads and loads of stuff. And one was a box of poppers from like 1912 or so. And I had my brother along with me on the day for the job, and we dropped the whole packet and they all smashed and all the vapor went up into the air and we had to scarper. So does that count that I did poppers in an attic with my brother?
Do you still get any kind of flashback?
There was some weird stuff up there, but now I'm thinking maybe... Where are we going already? It's me again, wasn't it?
What I worry about, Rob, is that this was the beginning of your dark thriller career, and before the popper in the loft incident, there might well have been a neat sort of romance in you.
No.
It was always dark.
There wasn't a secret Mills and Boon author kicking around in my head, but. Anyway,
not even for dinosaurs.
Well, I'm always romantic for dinosaurs. Always.
No,
that was my best Roger Moore. I hope you.
Sharon, are you regretting coming on already?
It's maybe going to be one of the strangest Monday nights I've spent for a while.
Yes. Well, welcome to the full author treatment that Rob likes to give every guest on this.
Usually it starts off sort of semi.
I've got a week off work to recover. Don't worry.
yeah. I think, but I'm especially giddy on this one, though. You know, there's something really nice and full circle-y about this one, and it's pure celebratory as well because of how great this book is. So yeah, it's just brill.
Yeah, so I sent the book to both of the boys. And went, right, we've got it. This final draft. Let's go have a readie, and because they do pester me quite often on our little group chat for this podcast as to when they can get early advance copies of authors' books. And then there was much pestering, and then there was silence, and then there was much love.
The silence that scares me. The silence scares me.
The silence that scares us all.
When somebody says, "I've started reading your book." And then there's nothing for 3 days, and you're like, right, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, what do you mean you've got an actual life? What do you mean you're doing something else? Why do your children need feeding and a work has to happen? What do you mean you put it down? How dare you?
You must be delighted with the reception, though, Sharon. I mean,
absolutely over the moon. This weekend has just been crazy. I don't think I've ever been on my phone or social media so much. I thought at one point on Friday my phone was just going to explode. I had it on permanent charge because it was just constantly going. It's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic. and even not just online, but just like family and friends who maybe don't use social media, have been texting and messaging me. All my kids' friends have bought my book as well, so I've got a whole young team behind me, supporting me, which is great. So I'm the cool mum at the moment.
Oh, even the guy in the post office up the road said, "Wow, you guys have a really good, strong marketing team in Glasgow." I think across a couple of days, I went in with three sets of 2 full carrier bags of 60 books each,
Wow.
kind of going out.
Wow.
And he was just like, right, what? We're putting these through individually, but they're also the same postcode, and you're like, well, more or less. There's a lot in Kirkintilloch.
That wasn't bad pronunciation, Sean.
For a South African.
I think there's a phrase that keeps hitting me with this book, and I never mean it to come out derogatorily to anybody, but it's the phrase, "This doesn't feel like a debut," because I don't want it to sound derogatory to anybody who's had a debut, but because we've all had a debut, but it's just, this feels, and I think what I mean by saying that is it feels so accomplished and attacks a subject matter with such nuance and precision and honesty that I find myself just hugely impressed right away through, Sharon. So I hope when I say that
I'm going to cry.
But I hope it comes across in the right way that it's intended. Yeah. And that other debuts out there, debut authors out there don't think that I'm being bad or anything like that.
The day Rob Parker gives you a quote for your book that says, "Yep, a debut."
I realise I've really dug a giant hole for myself here.
I'll pass you that shovel over.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's. I have one by the desk right here, just on hand. Yes. Oh dear! I gave myself a team talk before tonight as well. Like, don't get giddy, don't get stupid. Ah, dear.
You wouldn't be Rob without being giddy.
Yeah. This is true.
Should have had some cheesy chips before we started.
Oh, we should have had some cheesy chips. Flipping it. The good stuff.
Yeah, missed that on Friday night. I must admit, I missed that after the launch on Friday night. Although Noelle and I FaceTimed each other and had a wee chat after it. And I was like, just think we should have been in Glasgow getting cheesy chips right now. But you can't have everything, eh?
We planned it so that you would have done Iceland that week, come back, hit the Friday, and we would have all been there for the whole weekend, and Glasgow wouldn't have known what the hell was happening. But it definitely would have sold out of cheesy chips. And probably that was the plan for Sins of the Father launch. We'll just have to do it. Oh, we can skip straight to book news.
Can we?
Sharon's got book news.
Have you got book news?
Have we got book news?
She has.
Yeah.
She has.
I don't. Do you know anything about this, Chris?
No, this is new.
What did they not know?
No, I didn't tell anyone.
Oh.
It's just you and me. It's not a dream.
World exclusive here.
Okay, you go. You're the publisher.
What book news have you got, Sharon?
Well, I might have mentioned that I'd subbed book 2 when I was talking to Noelle at my launch, and Noelle has already read it. And when I come off the launch, I checked my messages, and Sean had WhatsApped me to say that Red Dog would be delighted to publish book 2.
Yay!
Yes.
Yeah, I was sitting listening to the launch, thinking, and I said, she doesn't think we're going to publish it, but tomorrow, because I don't want to ruin her launch, I'm going to tell her tomorrow that we've done it. And then she was going, well, I don't even know if it's, but I'm writing book 3, and I don't even know if book 2 is going to get published. So I just sent her oh yeah, about book 2 that's going to get published.
Oh, that's
awesome! That's
so
massive.
amazing.
Congratulations!
Yeah, huge to you both. Huge congratulations.
I did double check on Saturday morning when I woke up that it wasn't just a dream. Though I scroll back at my messages, going, maybe I dreamed that.
I got a little text early doors on the Sunday going, Oh no, it wasn't a dream.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
so
Still happy.
well, Chuff, this has been a fantastic weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's amazing. I mean,
Since we're going in, oh, sorry,
no, go, Chris. Chris, please
I
go.
was just going. Since we're going in reverse, are we allowed to know anything about book 2?
yeah.
Are we?
You're allowed to know the title.
This is already a title.
Oh no, well, I don't.
Well, it's a work.
It's a working title. I don't know that I'm completely sold on it. It's called You Need Me,
Oh yeah.
but
Nice. Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh,
definitely not a romantic You Need Me though. So.
No,
I think the cover
no.
will make sure of that.
There are no dinosaurs in
And
this
there's no
one.
dinosaurs. Sorry, Rob.
Damn it. Damn.
Maybe in the next one, eh?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's amazing. You must be so chuffed.
Yeah, I'm absolutely chuffed. It just rounded off a perfect night. Getting that message, so I was delighted over the moon.
Wow, that's awesome.
That's so incredible. Yeah, I mean, and again, like there's that full circle quality to this. We started off this podcast with news about Sharon Bairden's new book, and now we've got news about Sharon Bairden's new book. So it's absolutely great. It's absolutely mega.
It has a cyclical nature.
It does.
As
It
she
does.
writes book 3, we're like, wonder where this will go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what are we? Are we episode 36? So what are we looking at? Like, I can't do maths.
70.
72?
Sure, maths is mine.
Never mind. Well, I suppose we should talk about Sins of the Father, really.
Yes, we know.
That's why we're here, isn't it?
Yeah.
What we traditionally do, Sharon, is for people who haven't read the book, and for God's sake, what's wrong with you? Could you just give them a brief encapsulation of what it's about?
Okay. Sins of the Father is Rebecca's story. Rebecca Finlay. So we follow Rebecca Finlay from childhood, which is a pretty dark and dismal childhood, into her adult years, where she's married to Lucas. She's married to Lucas not because she loves him, but because she wants to destroy him. But her past isn't ever far behind her. And we watch Rebecca's life spiral out of control. She begins to disconnect from her own reality and the reality of the world around her. But there's somebody else behind the scenes watching Rebecca and Lucas as well. So it's a race to see who destroys who first. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is it. And what I find incredible is that you have a central character, and I found it incredible when I first read it before you even went back and redrafted and resubmitted, is that you have a character who has a dissociative identity disorder, and at times you have no idea whether what she's telling you is a true memory or a hidden memory or a different voice talking. And you can see where the other voices are talking, but you just don't know this person, and you see her in childhood and in adult life as this disorder takes over. And it's absolute for anybody who's had any experience with anybody with DID. It's just incredibly perceptively written, and a very difficult narrator to live with, but in the best possible way. As an unreliable narrative voice, you're like, "Ooh, she's unreliable."
Yeah, she's unreliable, and I think I think she can be pretty hard to like. She's not the most likable characters, but I would hope by the end of it that people feel some empathy and perhaps understanding for her situation and where she's come from and why her life's turned out like that. Yeah,
I think she's fascinating for that, because I loved her as in part 1. As a child, you just want to scoop her up and make it all better, and in part 2, as an adult, you want to take her aside and make it all better, and you kind of realize that you can't. That's just it lives there. That's part of her. It's part of her makeup, and it breaks your heart that you can't make it better.
I think for me, where it all came from is, just through my experiences and mostly my professional life, but just seeing broken systems, because I think sometimes we look at people and we see people that are broken, and sometimes it's systems that are broken, and systems can continue to break people. Everybody talks about adverse childhood experiences. I think adverse system experiences are just as important. It's.
But you managed to pull that system breakdown through a very personal line, which I thought was expertly handled. Simply because you could do a railing them and us about a faulty system that's underfunded, or that people slip through the gaps, and they do. But when you pull it into the personal the way you did in that book, it's it shines a huge light on how easily that system can fail us. And we all know, I mean, Chris, you work in a school, Rob, you worked with, it's like, we all know people in the system. We know people who are failing, being failed, and yet you managed to create a butt-clenchingly tight thriller out of it.
Butt-clenchingly tight thriller, I love that. I have that on the cover of my book.
I know, yeah.
I wanted to put it on the cover, but apparently Amazon frowns upon that kind of keyword usage.
So that's why my quotes never appear.
Butt-clenchingly tight. It's too sibilant.
Sharon, at what point did you decide that Rebecca's story was the story you wanted to tell?
I think when I started writing the book, with a half-baked idea, and it was about Rebecca and Lucas, this couple who life wasn't everything that folk might have thought it was. But I think probably the part one of the book came from a dream that I had, and that sounds really bizarre, but I have sleep paralysis, which is a really strange condition where like you have these really bizarre dreams, and you see things, you feel things, but you can't physically move. And I've had it for a long time. And like most folk, I have a notebook at the side of my bed, and I woke up one night and it was a really, really vivid episode, and I wrote it down, and I woke up the next morning and I thought, oh my God, that's inside Rebecca's head. That is Rebecca. And then so Rebecca's past and her childhood started unfolding from that. And I know that always makes me sound like a weirdo when I talk about things like that.
No. I love the idea. I used to keep a notepad by the side of my bed, and I probably should start doing it again. And there was a phase where I stopped having dreams at all, but prior to that, I would have these amazing sort of almost entire movies as films, and then you'd wake up and you'd write it all down. And you'd wake up in the morning and be like, I did actually write it down, and yes, there was a crop duster, and nobody believed that they needed to run away, and then they were sprayed with nuclear dirt, and then they did it all for.
So I'm not the only weirdo in the room then.
And then you get little notes in the notepad by your bed going, dwarves, Olympics, What was I dreaming? I don't know. I woke up at some point. I must write this down. Dwarf Olympics. So I think the notepad by the bed is.
Or your note app on your phone. I use that quite a lot. Quite often wake up if I've not got bizarre thoughts that come into your head at 3 o'clock in the morning, as they do.
Yeah, the risk with the phone though is it like can wake you up though, can't it? Like the light can ping you awake. And make you more awake. But it's funny, like because I did do this, and then I realised that everything was just raw sewage that was coming out of my head. So it was no point keeping a thingy anymore. But I've got a mate who is so obsessed with not, when he wakes up in the night, he believes that if he keeps his eyes shut through the entire thing, then he won't wake up. Like he'll manage to just get back into bed and he won't wake up. So he gets up and walks around and goes to the loo in the night, but keeps his eyes shut because he believes that if he opens them, right, I'm awake.
Don't let the light in.
Exactly. Yeah. So
this mate, is he sick? because I distinctly remember believing that if I kept my eyes closed, you couldn't see me.
No, he's I was going to say he's 36, but no, he's 38.
Oh,
Bless
bless
him.
his little heart.
Yeah, he is happily married though as well, and this still goes on.
Well, he's married.
Yes, he is. He's married.
Let's krill the wife unhappy. He's
Sharon, can I
wandering
know
around
how-
with his eyes closed in the middle of the night.
So, what was your journey to publication then? Can you tell us?
Okay, probably always scribbled, wrote as a child. As I grew up, thought I'd really like to write, but kind of thought writers were people that lived in big fancy houses, out looking, these beautiful views, and just sat in front of their computer typewriter or whatever, and the words just flowed out effortlessly. So always thought writing was for somebody else. Then I suppose with social media and book groups on Facebook and getting in touch with a lot of people that read as much as me, so always been a huge reader, and kind of realising that I wasn't the only geeky reader in the world, so started connecting with a lot of readers and a lot of bloggers. And I would always read, but I would never write reviews. And then realised how important they were to authors. So started writing reviews, started blogging. And I'm going to blame Noelle for this, because Noelle kind of encouraged me. She's like, do you not want to write? And I says, yeah. I says, but I don't think I could. She says, you can. She says, get paper, do it, right. So Noelle had went along to Crime and Publishment, which is the weekend writing course run by Graham Smith and Michael J. Malone. So she'd went along 1 year and then spent a year gently nagging me to attend the following year, so I did.
Gently
nagging. She laughs when I say that. She forced me to go. So yeah, so I went along to Crime and Publishment, but in between I'd taken part in a couple of creative writing groups, and also a couple of courses at Strathclyde Uni. So done some sort of part-time courses at Strathclyde Uni. I came away from Crime and Publishment, I think, believing that maybe I could actually do this, and the kind of half-baked idea I had in my head, and everything just kind of flowed from there. I think I came away with more determination and more focus on what I was doing. And a couple of things kind of happened as well. I was at Harrogate, was that 3 years ago? And I entered the first line competition run by Orion Crime, and it was being judged by Linwood Barclay. So I won that. I won the first line competition and won Linwood Barclay's typewriter, which has pride of place in my house. So yeah,
yes,
and I met him after it, and he signed the book for me, and he said, "Now just go and write your book." That first line wasn't in the first line of my book.
That's my next question.
Yeah, no. I haven't. I've used it in a short story.
I was going to say, have you written that book?
No, I've used it in a short story.
And just to to remind you how great things are going for you, you've actually beaten Linwood Barclay onto this podcast. He's on next year.
Right.
In your face, Barclay.
Don't we don't want to lose him, Sean?
Hey, no, he's good for healthy competition.
No, we'll definitely remind him of that story though as well. That's
I think that somebody had tagged him in a post over the summer about it. And
it was Noelle again.
Noelle,
yeah,
finding him. So yeah, poor guy's probably got a restraining order out on me already. So.
Well, if he hasn't got it out on you, he's definitely got it out on Noelle.
Now, what about obviously you read so much, what about your influences then, in which case? What authors out there do you really have really informed your work, really inspire you, anything like that?
Okay, probably a mix. There's a huge mix, but I'm going to go with one person, Susie Lyons, S.E. Lyons, and you really need to get her on this podcast. So Susie's fantastic. Her psychological thrillers they're they're perfect. You know, every time I pick up one of her books, I couldn't find a fault in it. Everything she writes, I just keep on thinking, when I grow up, I want to be Susie Lyons. That's who I want to be. If I could write a book as good as Susie, then I would have nailed it. Susie is definitely my influence in terms of what I write. But I think it's more than just what I write. I think there's influences throughout, just in terms of people's support and influencing you and giving you guidance and advice. Some of which you take and some of which you discard, depending on what. So Susie Lyons is the biggest influence for me.
Very cool. Very cool.
I have to stop a second, lads. Who is your when I want to grow up, I want to be like that author?
I've already embarrassed myself where this man's concerned, so which is not.
I think I have as well, but I might not be the same man.
Well, I always loved Michael Crichton growing up. Absolutely loved him. But as I got older, I fell in love with words more. You know, I loved the real science that he brought to everything, and the fact that he could tell a story just beautifully. But in lyricism, and I just don't want him to listen because he's coming on at the end of next year. But Adrian McKinty, I just think gold flushes out of that guy's pen. He's just, I read it and I read him when I'm writing a first draft because it just inspires me that much. Like, oh my God, that's, you know, anything that brings you back to that point of wonder when you're creating your own work, I think is like fuel. So yeah, but don't tell him I said this because I'm becoming that person who's like restraining order time for this guy.
What about you, Chris?
I think probably in terms of what I write, like probably at the minute Mike Craven, because I think he's at like this.
Do love
I
Mike?
do, I really do. I just think he's a genius. Like
He is.
Especially
Damn him.
like I think there's like the sort of straightforward police case, but then there's also all this extra stuff that just fits perfectly, and the ideas he comes up with and stuff, and he's just a bit of a genius.
What about you, Sean?
Philip K. Dick.
Mm.
And I only say that because I realised the other day I was looking at doing a Christmas list, and obviously my Christmas list has an enormous number of books on it because who gets enough books during the year?
We were just discussing this. There's no post like book post. It's the greatest.
Yeah. What can I get for Christmas? Books. You know, but you've got thousands of books. Yeah. These books I haven't got. These ones I've saved for Christmas. And I was like, oh, could I get this from Philip K. Dick? So I looked it up on my Amazon to send the link, and it went, you have already bought this. I was like, oh yeah, whoops, that's just there. So this is the man who's responsible for the stories that inspired The Minority Report, Total Recall, also
Blade Runner as well, I believe. Is that right?
Blade Runner. Most of the films we all know and love are inspired by short stories by this fella. And as you both know, I'm obsessed with and I'm currently trying to plot a multi-universe string theory novel. So I'm deeply immersed in Mr. Dick, but don't take that the wrong way. I love the way your two innocent faces just sat there going, no, this is fine. And Sharon went,
I was watching Rob.
No, he's not, because Rob, these kind of references just sail straight over Rob's head.
There was a little trigger point there where I was like, huh? Is that a little bit rude?
He said did. Idiot. Philip K. Dick, my writing.
Can I ask a quick back to Rob, who's down here on my screen? You know McKinty's original series, and then the chain obviously went like. Yeah. Do you notice a clear change of style?
I don't know. He's one. I mean, It's a really good question, because everything beforehand was so. I felt like I could just, because I've got everything he's done, and just a few of them, more than one read through of. For me, I think his finest. Well, not so much his finest because it's all great, but I really love the Bloomsday trilogy he did with Michael Forsyth. Like that middle one in that trilogy is a key text for me. But jumping off towards the chain, I mean, the chain suddenly just took on a scope that was, he's always written stories that existed in a time and place, whereas this took on such a wider, grander, blockbuster style scope, and his style effortlessly matched it. So yeah, there probably was. I mean, at the time, I was just blown away that I was reading a McKinty that was, set where it was and did what it was doing, etc. Whereas. I've already said too much. I can tell I've already said too much. But when I was at Harrogate, lovely Anne Blockswitch, hiya Anne, if you're listening, grabbed me and said, "Look who I've got here." And I turned around and Adrian was stood there, and I went blah 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 blah, and I was holding a Guinness and going blah blah blah, and I said this thing like. I would feel really wrong of myself if now you're here I didn't tell you what your work meant to me. I'd feel really bad that I didn't take the opportunity to say that to you. And he said, "No, that's cool." And we drank Guinness, and it was just the acist thing.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So you actually drank Guinness. He didn't run away like your English teacher, and you never to be seen again.
Avoid, Sean. What are you doing going there?
Don't go there, Sean. The Gulf War flashbacks are happening.
Just imagine McKinty with that pint of Guinness.
He's only on the light beer. I think we can get through the PTSD of the English teacher.
Honestly, one of these episodes will end up like "This Is Your Life," and you'll have my English teacher on who shunned me. He'll appear in the screen and I'll be like, oh dear.
I love you.
Yeah. I don't love you.
And he'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were Rob Perkins. Oh no, I did quite like you."
Oh, damn it!
Perkins was an arsehole.
Sharon.
Sorry, Sharon.
We're obviously in quite a similar boat because we were both sort of bloggers. Oh, well, book reviewer, blogger kind of thing. And we're both submitting to Sean. And we obviously both got that incredible email that sort of blew our world apart. Can you sort of tell us from getting that email to sort of up to publication, the kind of process that you went through?
You mean the process in terms of from Sean accepting to the book being published?
Yeah, and how you
sort of the meltdown that I kind of had.
Yeah, all the like when that email.
The meltdown I had when she. The meltdown I had when she said, "Yeah, thanks for the acceptance, but I'm going to just take it off the shelf for a while and rewrite it."
That makes me sound like such a diva.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
That's really interesting.
No,
caring about your own work. I mean, that's the difference between making it and not making it.
The kind of sleepless.
I think I did write back to you and say we'll rewrite it with you. We love it. We love it. You were like, "No, I'm just going to do this on my own." I'm like, "Okay."
The kind of sleepless nights that I had after I sent that email, I was like, "God, what have I done? I'm crazy. I'm like absolutely crazy." But no, I'm kind of glad I done it. Although that was a pretty tough 3 months where I just got my head down and almost completely rewrote the book, and then obviously contacted Sean again and said, "Hi, it's me." You're still interested.
See, I just thought you were politely saying, "Yeah, I'm just going to rewrite it, and then I'm going to take it to a better publisher." So I was like, "Oh, well, that was polite." I've never accepted someone who's subsequently rejected me, not on a publisher term. Obviously, in relationships, that happens all the time. But as a publisher, That's never been that way.
Right, okay, I'll go back to Chris's question. I think that's easier before we go down the road of relationships and rejections. We'll be crying into my gin all night.
At least you got gin.
Sean, you've got a pint of wine there. Sorry, pint of wine.
Oh, fucking bottle. I'm panicked.
I think that the journey kind of felt crazy, to be honest. There's that point where, you know, Sean gets back to me and says, "Yep, delighted to publish it," and you know, you're waiting for the sort of cover reveal day. You're waiting to, you know this news, but you can't broadcast it, and you want to be going out there shouting to the world. So that first couple of months was really bizarre, because I'm like, I want to tell everybody, I want to put this on social media, but you've got to be really, really quiet about it. So that was kind of hard. And I suppose, but now looking back, I suppose it was the easiest part, because then once we had agreed the cover, the news broke, the cover came out, and then it was the editing process. And then I kind of started to get scared, because I was like, oh God, now this is, you know, I thought I'd wrote this book. This is going to be like, editing, you know. Although I'd already went through the editing process with Emma Mitchell for my first draft. But I kind of felt like, no, this is my publisher doing the editing. Like, I'm really kind of scared here. You know, what if he comes back with stuff and I don't even know, you know, what does he mean by that comment? I don't understand it. So, you know, you've got all those fears going on, although as a blogger and a reviewer, you kind of know what's happening in the book world. I don't think you've always got enough knowledge about what happens in the background, and you know what happens behind the scenes. So it's that sort of step into the unknown that was kind of scary. I have to say the editing process wasn't that scary, Sean. I think a couple of times I just emailed you back and saying, right, okay, I'm having a total meltdown. I can't do anything else with this, but I can't see the wood for the trees. Yeah. And I think sometimes when you're writing something and you've been writing it for so long, you do get lost in that muddle, don't you? Well, I do.
Yeah.
But that's the point of working together. You go like, no, once, and I think, was it Stu who pointed, I think it was Stu, and I said it to you, Sharon, that you sort of, once you hand it over, it's no longer a single person's event. And the thing that I found when my first book was released was that I felt like it was, opposed to all of the film and TV work that I'd ever done, it was not a collaboration. It was just my words, and the edit had been really light on that. And I just thought, God, if people think it's shit, it's just because what I've written is shit. I can't blame anyone else. And I think, you know, where we come from in Red Dog is if enough people inside the family feel that it's a fucking good story, then it's a fucking good story, and it will find its way to the top. And it may not be the zeitgeist, and it may not be the girl on the bench or whatever the bollocks today's story is. Sorry, everybody with the girl on the whatever story, but you know what I mean. It's just like there's. I was having this conversation the other day with Maggie, who's our marketing assistant, and you're like, you know, how do we categorize some of these books? So where do we put Stay Mad Sweetheart, Sins of the Father, and The Witch House, for example? Because they're not murder mysteries, they're not crime procedurals, they're not crime per se. They're thrillers in that they're a page turner, but they're nothing like each other. So you don't go, if you like The Witch House, you'll love Sins of the Father, because you're like, nope. Those are very separate. And like, how do we categorize these? And then you just go, okay, book clubs love these, page turners love these. But it's what I don't think we do as a publisher is take a book, look at a book, and go, oh, that fits very nicely in X genre, and that's maybe our downfall. But I like to think that gives unique voices a stronger place to live. And when we take the book on, it becomes a collaborative process from cover to, I mean, we spoke about cover a lot, didn't we? It wasn't like, it was like, right, you and me on Pinterest. And I still now, every week, I get a little update from Pinterest going, you might like these things. And you're like, oh no, those are so dark. I don't like this. This is just for a cover. But we worked hard on getting that right for the story.
I think that's what I liked. You know, that first conversation we had, Sean, before I rejected you the first time. Sorry.
It's okay. I just stayed there on my knee with the contact out.
No.
Single tear.
No.
Single tear cast into my stony cheek. There's a statue of me in some literary square in Edinburgh, probably, because Glasgow doesn't have literary squares. If I was in Glasgow, I'd have a cone on my head and a fag in my mouth.
The Duke of Wellington with a cone in your head. Tinsel around it because it's Christmas. No, I think from that first conversation we had, that feeling of collaboration, that feeling that you were part of something where you were an individual, where you were part of something that was small enough that you don't get lost in a whole process. That's what I liked about Red Dog, and that's what appealed to me. So yeah.
What you've all just said there, I mean, listening to Sean talk, that was one of the reasons, and getting to know Sean throughout this process, but also seeing that behind the scenes quality, was one of the reasons why working with Red Dog was something I was really wanting to do. You know, I really wanted to be a part of what I consider to be a great thing. So, you know, by hook Sean's face, but like, you know, we
Sorry, no, all of my sphincters in my body just clenched at the same time.
More than one.
It's quite dramatic. You have many sphincters in your body, Rob. This is not a science lesson. Your eyes are sphincters.
No,
sounds like a playground.
You are having me on because you know how to go into a school next time they're open and start talking about my eye sphincters.
Right.
Where else are there sphincters?
Well, anywhere where there's a clenching muscle.
They're not all. Are they all sphincters?
Yeah. Yes. A circular. So your iris is around your pupil. That's a sphincter.
So there's four sphincters in
Doesn't
my face
sound
right
true.
now. Like
I don't know how many irises you have.
Like, be two. Oh no. Is the eye one? Like, you're not talking about this bit, are you?
Oh God!
No, that's not a sphincter because it doesn't clench.
Okay.
It does. It's a muscle that does this. So your urethra, for example.
Right,
anyway,
we need to
back
have
to
a chat
book
off air about the many sphincters
Science.
of the body.
All I said was all of my sphincters can clench at the same time, and
we were talking about nice things, weren't we? A moment ago.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you made me scared because you said Red Dog was great, and then I can't take a compliment.
Oh no! Yes, we were talking about why. Yes, which is why I approached you both up front, like me here. As a human, and she's a human,
as opposed to a robot.
I didn't come to you as a sentient can opener or something. But also, like, anonymously as well. It's because I wanted to maximise my chances of getting to work with yourself.
Anonymously, would you like to tell the listeners what your anonymous name was?
Yeah, but I think Bob Q. Creasy was I submitted under. I think people
I had an email from Rob's own email.
That was the flaw in the plan. That was the flaw in the plan.
I mean, he's no fucking cyber terrorist, but I had the submissions at Red Dog from Rob's own email, a submission from Bob Q. Creasy.
I mean, when you put it like that, I mean, it's not the greatest, I'll admit. But...
I mean, I wrote the code. I do know something about cyber terrorism.
So, oh well. Well, we got there. We got there in the end.
I was like, "Dear Bob, Thank you for your submission. Could you tell your friend Robert Q Ironed that I really do enjoy his work?
Yeah. Well, it went. We got there in the end.
And then I said, "Could we see the full manuscript?" And you said, "Not ready yet."
Oh no! I sent you like half because it wasn't finished. I'd done half. And you know when you talk.
Do not take this as a submissions policy.
No. It was not right of me. It was just I was at an impasse with it, and it was like, what do you do? Like, there was other stuff that on my list I wanted to do, but I really wanted to do this, but I wanted to do it if I knew it was going to Sean. So I thought, well, let's see how the first half goes. And I knew always.
And then I read the baby monitor scene, and it was all done.
Yeah. You see, I don't know what genre this one's gonna.
The dinosaurs in it?
No,
there's
no
dinosaurs. Well, there might be a toy dinosaur. It definitely involves sphincters. One of my early editorial notes is you're going to need a lot more feces.
Oh no. Oh no! Well, I've got. It's funny. I don't think I should be saying this, but I've got a chance to pitch a children's story to a children's. But I'd love to do a children's thing. I'd love to write for children. But I've been thinking about what am I going to pick, and now I'm thinking the dinosaur who had too many sphincters is a great idea for a book, for a kid's book.
I don't know that it is.
They might throw you out.
Yeah, do you not think that like schools around the nation would like to have me reading that in class?
You'll be in the meeting being like, but my friend told me that everyone has loads of sphincters. And they'll be like, yeah, out you go.
Sphinctosaurus.
Yes, Sphinctosaurus.
Yeah, I was going to say
itself. Yes.
Bob Q. Creasy's Sphinctosaurus. I can see Library Steve driving you around the country. With his little hub-top truck. Jesus.
Real question, genuine question.
Back on track.
Genuine question. Was there a moment throughout the whole thing, Sharon, where was like the icing on the cake moment, the moment that gives you goosebumps now when you still think about it, the moment like, oh my God, it's really happening, it's really happened?
I think when I was listening to the podcast and taking my dog a walk around the muddy moss and the podcast came on, and obviously Sean had spoke to me, but I think that moment, and then people were messaging me and texting me. So I think for me it was at that point where it first felt real, but the next point was probably when I received the paperback, and I just sat. I think I sat the whole night just like holding it and like smelling it and
yeah.
Sniff books, don't you? Everybody sniffs books.
Yeah.
So actually holding the paperback and then going on to Amazon and like putting my name in Amazon, and it came up. Going on to Goodreads and I still do that. I don't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and log on to Amazon and put my name in to see if there's any more reviews of that in. So amazing. there was hundreds. I think there's lots of moments where it sort of just built right up until Friday, where I was like, oh shit, this really is real. This book is out there.
I kept, every time I sent you something or did something, it was like, oh shit, it's actually happening. Oh shit. And you're like, yeah. Otherwise, why would I be emailing you? And no, I remember saying, I think that was early doors where I was like, right, this is the cover. And you went, shit, it's really happening. And I remember distinctly Chris doing the same thing when we got the cover for Wash of Black right, because you had a couple of drafts before we were like, right, this is where we're going. And when we got that one, you were just like, that's the one. Yeah. Hang on, I've just run downstairs and asked my wife.
Yeah, I almost fell down
the
the
stairs. It's the one.
Really? Oh, that's so good. I love these stories. These stories are so great
But it doesn't get old. Like the first 2 books I had published were both just ebooks. So I had on the night of publication of the first one, I had a whole bunch of friends round to my house, and then was just like, "Yay!" And they're like, "Can you sign anything?" I was like, "Yeah, your ass, but I can't, I can't sign a book."
I can sign one of your many sphincters, if you like.
No, it's never easy to sign a sphincter because of all the wrinkling.
Right, this is too much. I don't understand this now.
A sphincter is just a muscle that contracts in a circle, Rob.
Right.
Maybe you should look it up on Google.
I wouldn't.
I'm not typing sphincter into Google. Thank you very much.
No, don't Google that, Rob.
Thank you, John.
Google sphincter and just take images.
Oh dear.
Your publisher recommends.
Yes, this is formal advice from my publisher.
Shall I nip in here with a 1-star review from a sphincter?
Oh, please
Yes,
do.
yes.
From a sphincter.
From a
good.
sphincter.
What a funny name.
No, don't.
No, actually, Rob. It's from.
Oh, yeah, no, you saw my eyes like, what are the chances? I was thinking.
Rob.
Right, there are so many bits.
I do worry.
There are so many bits in here where I could give something away, so I'm going to try and get through it without saying any character names or whatever.
Okay.
Right, the title: The Death of character name. This is awful, just simply awful. I really wanted to enjoy it. I really wanted it to work, but it didn't, because it doesn't. Right there, within our very first encounter with character name in this book, I find myself saying, he wouldn't do that, and then worse still, he wouldn't do that. If he doesn't talk like character name and he doesn't act like character name, well, he's just not character name. It reads like pure fan fiction from the start. Character name has a very important part of my reading life since I first picked up book name in a bookshop and I couldn't put it down. So I really wanted to like this. I needed to like this. So I really tried. I eagerly embraced this book, ready to wallow in character name's world. Excited about it, I delivered what was expected of me, the reader. But the author failed as the writer. All those years ago, this book would have been back on the shelf very quickly. If I was allowed to return my Kindle edition for a refund, I would, but of course I pre-ordered this book as soon as I could on Amazon back in March. As far as I'm concerned, author name owes me $9.99, as this is definitely not what I ordered, not as advertised, not a book to sit within 1,000 miles of his past work. R.I.P. character name.
Wow!
Wait a second. Now, who pays $9.99 for a Kindle book?
Yeah.
And no wonder they're fucking angry. Aside from that, is it something to do with Sherlock Holmes?
Oh, no, but good guess, yeah, no.
Oh, I was thinking that, because Bonnie McBird does the present sort of, like, is carrying the mantle at the moment.
And Anthony Horowitz has written quite a few as well, and they're really good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he has. He's done a couple.
2, I think, yeah. They're very good.
2, yeah.
So we're talking about
So it's not Sherlock Holmes. Or is it James Bond?
No.
Poirot?
Shit or
No. He's a very popular...
Stop laughing, Sean!
Poirot, as if that's like the next logical step after
You automatically don't think of Poirot when you say James Bond. That doesn't happen.
No.
I would have at least gone Miss Marple before Poirot.
Miss Marple?
That's for another day.
No. It's had nearly 14,000 reviews in like a month.
Wow. So someone
It's
is
not Harry
carrying
Potter,
on
No.
someone else's series here, aren't they?
Ooh, yes.
And it's
it's Lee Child's brother.
Yes, Andrew Reacher.
No.
Well, not Andrew Reacher, Andrew Child. Yeah, Jack Reacher. Andrew
Andrew
Reacher.
Reacher.
It really is
Sentinel.
fan fiction.
No
Hi,
way.
I'm Andrew Reacher.
I know, I got the wrong. That's a first move.
That's crazy. I haven't seen.
Yeah.
Is it out now, The Sentinel?
Yeah, it is like the Sentinel, but
Apparently terrible.
yeah,
According to this review.
It's got 60% 5 stars, so
Yeah, exactly.
I've heard mixed and 4% 1 star, so she's very much in the minority.
Right. Content.
But there you go. So fan fiction at its finest, apparently, or not at its finest.
Yes.
Can you ever imagine? I mean, you both have siblings, right? You all have siblings.
Yeah.
I know you have a sibling, Sharon, because she approached me early doors.
Oh, did she?
For the print copy of your cover, so that she could make it into every T-shirt, cupcake.
Did she make me cupcakes, T-shirts, and tote bags?
Did she?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Everything that could be printed
Really?
has been printed.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oi, you're publishing my sister's book." But she sent me an email a couple of days before publication because I'd asked them all, your family all, to do a video as well, but obviously other things happened. And she just sent an email going, we didn't manage it, but we do all want to say thank you so much for giving her this opportunity, and we're all so proud of her.
Aww.
I'm also proud of her. She's one of our family now.
Yeah.
I know. I do their heads in. I know I do their heads in, but
Isn't that what we're supposed to do?
What?
Isn't that what we're supposed to do with family?
But they are all really proud, and the fact that my mum's read the book in 2 days, which I didn't even think my mum would read the book, because when she heard me reading the prologue at Butte Noir, she says, "Oh, I don't think I can read that. That's not my type of book." And she looked at the cover and she's like, "Oh, that's not for me. That's not for me." But she read it in 2 days. And my best friend up here actually wrote her first Amazon review. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, no, like as I say, the postie thinks that he doesn't think there's anybody in Kirkintilloch that still hasn't got a copy of it that's come directly from our stores.
And the wrapping.
How big is this area?
Not that big. It's quite a small area.
That's amazing. It's a real good news story, though, isn't it? Everything that's happened. It's really nice. And
I didn't actually realise Lynn had approached you. I know I knew that Noelle told me that she'd approached her after the event, obviously, but I didn't realise she.
No, she approached me a good couple of months ago to say, "Hello,
hello,
hello,
hello.
I'm Sharon's sister. You'll know her from about to publish her book." You won't believe how many submissions I've had that also say, "Dear Red Dog Press, we both know Sharon. Here's my book." I'm like, oh, okay.
The old Bob Q. Creasy approach.
We both know Sharon. Forthwith, my book. I look forward to you publishing.
Except
I'm so influential in the local area, obviously.
Apparently so. Apparently so. The postie's already booking the road trip.
Excellent.
Says it sounds fantastic.
Got the bus
we need to as well. We need to get a road trip booked.
We have to.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, for Christ's sake, us three, I'm saying this because the L is you two at the bottom of my screen, but we live within half an hour of each other. We've seen each other once this year.
That's crazy.
Well, no, twice, technically, this year. The time we met and then the time we had Italian.
Two of all time.
It was a good night out, wasn't it?
So good. It was good.
Night out? What's a night out?
I know.
We went to a shopping centre and had pick and mix Italian food. And
good,
loads of beer. And then I left them, and then all sorts of hell broke loose, and some ladies approached them. and they got very scared and tried to get on a train.
We're married.
Tried to get on the train.
Oh no!
No, these two apparently flashed their wedding rings at like some kind of bat symbol.
Yes.
And backed off very rapidly.
I think they thought we were quite a bit younger than we were. I think. I think. Yeah. Chris.
And then they fell in love with your accent.
Oh, Chris, yes. Chris.
And then that strange man came and then did some sort of protest.
Well, he came in and said, we were sat at a table enjoying a pint, and he said, "They've kicked me out of here. This is a scandal. We'll all leave together. Who's with me?" Hi.
Nobody. We've all got pints.
You're on your own.
Yeah.
And this was all before like 10:30.
It was crazy, yeah. It was very crazy. I look forward to more of these adventures.
Yeah,
with all of us. We need to ask the question: who's reading what? Who is?
Yes, we do.
Sharon, what are you reading?
Yes, but I'm just about to start Deity by Matt Veselowski. Yeah, you've just started that, Chris, haven't you?
I have. I'm about 20% in, and it's class. Yeah.
He's fab. He's absolutely fab. So I'm saving that. I'm saving that one for my Christmas read, but I don't want to tell you the one I'm actually reading at the moment.
Do you want? Is it like something that if you wanted to say, like, say a made-up name, and if we then added a beep later to make it sound like, and we all went, "Oh."
Well, it might be somebody that you might have thought was a prime minister once who comes from Scotland. So.
Oh, that fella.
That still doesn't.
Oh, Rob, get with the program. You know Nicola Sturgeon loves writing things.
Are you reading Nicola Sturgeon's book?
No. Oh, shut up, you bird. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, me and Nicola are like that.
Gordon Bennett, Rob.
Don't, because I would be like, "Oh, not nice."
Get her on.
Get her. Yeah, can we get her on?
Get her on.
Dear. Chris, what are you reading?
Deity by Matt which is fantastic. Just to build on, it's so good. But what he does really well is, and it must be so difficult because he has to sort of get the voice of 6 different people and make it sound. And he's like a teenage girl in one, or I think like a 20-year-old girl who's like a blogger and stuff. And he just absolutely nails the voice. Like it's such a talent. He's so good. And yeah, I think he's on in February or January or something, and I think he's going to be really fascinating to talk to. Yeah. What about you, Rob?
I'm reading The Last Thing to Burn by Will Dean. Oh no, it's so good.
Fucking great book.
It's so it really is. It's so economical as well in its storytelling. But character is just off the scale here. It's such a great book. I'm halfway through. I don't know where it's going. It is breaking my heart in all sorts of different ways. But it is going to be another surefire winner. This is just whatever it is he's doing. Give me some of that because
That's the one I said to you. It came through the door, and I thought, I've got so much to read. And then I opened the first page, while I was making I put the kettle on. It was boiling. And then the next thing I knew, I was 2 chapters in. The kettle had long since boiled. The coffee was nowhere near made, and everybody else's edits were to fuck because that. Reading that book, it's just beautiful.
It will come out January 7th, I think it comes out.
Yeah,
and it will be around all year, and it will make a lot of the end of year lists.
But it's interesting that you say it. I mean, it is concise. There is not a word wasted. It's short.
It is, isn't it? But I
for
love
what
that.
it is.
But
when you finish reading it, you think, "Fuck me, there's a lot of stories just happened in them pages."
I think, and isn't it great though that some stories, whatever length the story needs to be told, that's the length that it should be. That's it, as far as I'm concerned. I was on I'm going to be careful about this. I was on a not streaming service.
I thought you were going to say you were on Strictly.
No, I was on.
Wow, I didn't know you were that famous.
What's a social media? I was on a famous social media platform, And there
We're
was
not the BBC, Rob. You are allowed to mention.
No, but I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it because I don't want to dob in the the people involved. But anyway, I was on a social media platform, and there was a group on there, and they were all having a debate where people were saying, like, oh, I can't read a book that's under 400 pages long. Like,
oh really?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I don't think I
Yeah.
can read one. If it comes in as a submission and it's over 400 pages, I'm like, that's going to cost me £5 to print. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Cut the shit out of that.
I'm thinking, if as long as the end result makes you feel fulfilled as a reader and makes you feel like you were told a story, beginning, middle, and end, then what is the problem? I don't understand it all. But that's not me being fighty. That's just me saying I just
all
think
I can do is hold up a copy of Steve Gould's Say Goodbye When I'm Gone.
How good that book is.
Measuring in at a monstrous 168 pages.
Yeah.
It's a tiny.
Did you enjoy it, Sharon?
A word wasted? I don't think so.
Absolutely. I just couldn't put it down. And I was really surprised because, like, historical fiction doesn't always appeal to me. And I think I actually picked up because I thought, right, it's quite short. My attention span at the moment isn't great, so I'm looking for things that that aren't too long at the moment. I thought I'm going to read that. Within a chapter, I was like, just sat the whole night. I was like,
it's so good.
It's beautiful. It's one of those ones that when you're editing, when you're going through the edit process, obviously you read it and reread it and reread it several times. And every time I'm reading, you're like, oh, fuck, no, that's also clever because... So I remember going through my first edit and writing loads and loads of notes and then coming back to it at the end and deleting half of the notes because you're like, no, there's no, because this was absolutely pulled off in the end. And it felt extraneous at the beginning, but it's definitely nailed.
Yeah.
It was all this, everything was there every time, and it's one of my bigger regrets in publishing is that he submitted a book called Glamour Girl Gone, and we were busy doing sort of mainstream crime thriller stuff, crime thriller mystery cozy. And he submitted it, and I wrote him an email that said, this is absolutely beautiful, but it's too dark for where we go, and I don't have an audience for it. And he took it away and has taken it elsewhere, and then resubmitted another one, and then put a pitch together. And honestly, it's a masterclass in author pitching publisher because he put a beautiful book in. He put this book in. He said it's short. It's not as dark as the first. Read it. And then he sent 3 subsequent emails, which could have been seen as stalking, but basically laid out a business plan for how I could move Red Dog to also have a darker, noirish thing. But had analysed what we do as a business and gone, you can do this and you can do that, and then I can introduce, and this is the way we go from here. And I was like, right, okay, I'll take a punt because I love the book, and I'll take a punt on it because it cost me something, but it cost me nothing, and I love the book. So and I do, but now every time I see him advertising what's now called Always the Dead, which was Glamour Girl Gone, I have this huge pang of regret because it's his life work, and B, one of the most beautiful books I've read.
Yeah.
So, I let it go because it didn't fit with our model, and
but you have to do.
There you go.
It's one of those decisions, isn't it? I mean, it's funny. I read.
I feel
Glamour
weak
Girl
for
Gone.
doing it.
No. I read Glamour Girl Gone / Always the Dead before Say Goodbye When I'm Gone, and it was. I knew then that this guy really is something. He's really got something going on here, yeah, I can't really define it. I tell you what, like if I'm looking at the way I feel about McKinty's work at the moment, there's something about Steve's work that ignites that same excitement in me.
There's a poetic,
and does things with
deeply
words,
human understanding.
Yeah, that I just could never. even approach doing, and that's what you want, isn't it? You want to be
you do yourself down.
No. But you know what I mean. Like, because I want to be inspired. Everyone wants to be inspired, you know. And I loved, you know, I love that feeling when you read something, and whether it's story or whether it's wordplay or whatever it is that makes you go, oh my God, that's amazing. That's the bit that makes you keep going. That's why we're in love with this, isn't it? You know, I mean, how great is this? It's a Monday night, and you know, I've had a 4-pack of booze, and we're talking about books. I mean, what is not to like about this?
I've got a delicious bottle.
Oh man, but you know,
relatively reasonably priced New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
I know, and this fourth one I'm going to drag out all evening as well because it's the last one in the house. So I'll be nursing it later on all night. I know. But you know what I'm saying? It's whatever it is that gets you going and gets you excited. Is what pumps you forward and keeps making you want to drive on to write the best dinosaur story you can do.
Best dinosaur erotica ever.
It's coming. It's coming, baby.
Can I tell you what I'm reading?
Yes, please, Sean. So sorry.
It's the last draft of Mel Goff's A Leap of Faith that's coming out in February with us at Red Dog.
Amazing.
And it's our first foray into historical romance. And I think historical romance does it a massive disservice because when I read it 2 years ago and said to Mel if she didn't have a publisher in a year to come back to me and we'd change what we do and incorporate her book and make it fly, I felt like it was where Out of Africa meets The Constant Gardener. And I'm going through the edits at the moment, and the hardest thing I find is to actually edit the fucking book because I'm so transformed and so transfixed by the story and the characters and the emotion that's happening that you find you've just read the pages and go, fuck's sake, right, come back. Comment and a punctuation.
I need to add as well, Sharon, he talks about your book in the same tone all the time, right the way through the year. So
it's really tough because it's hard to suspend your disbelief as a reader and exert your horrific belief as an editor. I don't have that problem with Chris McDonald. I'm like, rocks do not float, you idiot.
Fuck off.
I can't wait for this. Can't wait.
He will never, ever, ever live down the floating rocks scenario in his book.
I taught my kids about that in school yesterday.
The
putter on Friday.
You did make him cry, Chris. So.
You did. He made me cry several times.
At my poor grasp of physics.
Yeah. But Archimedes' principle. You idiot.
Can I just, you reminded me something, Sean, when you were talking about submissions. I'm not a publisher at all.
Oh, but I didn't know where we were going then, Rob. So.
No. Is that a rude thing?
Yeah. So we've talked about it before. Submission is.
I thought that we said, didn't we say sub in that context?
Which is short for
submissions.
There you go.
Okay.
Domination, submission. It's just a sexy thing, but it's fine.
When you do as you're told.
Okay, sure.
Let's keep going up.
Yes, do as you're told. Keep going, Rob.
Okay. I was given a submission yesterday by my daughter.
Oh, Ava.
She sent a book to me. Yeah, my 10-year-old. And she was like, I've been working on this for about a week and a half, and it was all typed up, and I couldn't, I was like, oh wow, let's have a look, and I thought it would be like, it's 11,000 words.
Man,
fucking hell.
Yeah. Honestly, and I've been reading it. It is light years ahead of where I was at 10.
Oh,
I mean, it's good, and I'm like,
it's 11,000.
I mean, obviously, I'm 11,000 words. Yeah, I'm fizzing with pride about it, So but it's like, yeah, and we talked about it. I talked about it with Eve Smith and yourself, Chris, a few weeks ago. It's this book, The Mask of Arabella by Anna Hogton. It's just got so under her skin that now she wants to write.
So nice.
And I know Anna listened to that episode, but Anna, if you listen to this one, you have still inspired my daughter. Just I can't even explain it and describe it.
And she
won't stop reading.
When did she read? How many times has she read it?
I think she's read it the once, but that is the past tense of springboard, sprungboard.
I would say springboarded if I was editing you, but
please do.
But I may be wrong. I'm foreign.
It sprangboarded her.
Sprangboarded her.
It sprangboarded her to just to want to be reading everything. But so yeah, I'm currently like literally what we're going to try and do, and I hope the family aren't listening to this, but we're going to concoct a short run for her with a printer that I've got, and we're going to put him in. All the kids in the family, we're going to get little copies for all the stockings for Christmas.
Oh, that's lovely.
And at which point is that being submitted to Red Puppy?
Well, it was when you rejected Ninja Bread Man that all bridges were burnt, Sean.
I didn't reject it. I just
no, I know you did.
I haven't established Red Puppy as an arm yet. I'm still waiting for my own bastard book to come into
apparently,
writing.
Yeah, I might also have accidentally cribbed off someone for that. So I don't know whether we're allowed to do that anyway. So what can you do anyway? But I'll save the title of my daughter's book for another time, but that's
I can't believe you've got a little follower in your footsteps.
I know, yeah. Who is already better than I?
Her mother must and I say this with the utmost love, but her mother must be so disappointed. Oh good. Another writer.
Another writer, isn't it great?
Could you not have done something that would have involved us not needing the pension?
No. Well, no, the other thing, she wants to be a midwife as well, though. So she still wants to maintain that. So again, Anyway, good. I've got all. What do they call it? Cheek red.
Blush.
Blush.
Yeah,
blush. Yeah.
What's that? I got cheek red. Liquid.
Rob Pork. Rob.
What were you going to call me?
Rob Pork.
What?
Rob Parker author is what I was going to say. I just mentioned Rob Parker.
So can we? Well, instead of Bob Q. Creasy, can we have Rob Pork? And that's enough of a pseudonym.
Rob Porker is where I was going to go, but I laughed. Sorry.
That's probably a good point to say bye-bye, is it?
Rob Pork signing off.
Rob Porker. Sharon, thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry we're stupid.
No, thank you. You've kind of made my Monday night, so.
But at least now you know that other authors aren't fancy special people. Well, we are special.
You're very special. Very, very special people.
That's what my mum said. She's right. We love you and we wish you, obviously, without personal bias, every success for the book.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's an amazing book, Sharon.
Thanks so much.
What you've done here is, it's genuinely hugely impressive and brilliantly written, and a story that will stand the test of time. So yeah, super. Full admiration.
Forward to the second.
Yeah,
I know, Victor. Woohoo!
Let's do this.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.